Faith invites and encourages all who are seeking a community to empower, support, and explore deeper understanding of spirituality and recovery of all kinds. We join together with our family and loved ones in our journey to enlightenment and recovery, and supporting one another spiritually without judgment or prejudice. Hi, welcome to A Place of Faith. We are so glad that you tuned in to join us today. We are going to be exploring the spiritual principle of activism. Maybe not quite exactly what you think it is. Please join me in prayer. Higher power, we give thanks that we are able to join together in this way and develop spiritually while supporting our recovery, our family, and every aspect of our being. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is.
I'm gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside. I'm gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I'm gonna put on my long white robe down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna put on my long white robe down by the riverside. I'm gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. I'm gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more.
Thank you, Jody. My name's Beci R, and I'm here with the concepts to contemplate about activism. Thomas Merton says the whole idea of compassion is based on the keen awareness of the interdependence of all living beings, which are all part of one another and all involved in one another. Henry Cadbury says, common folk, not statesmen nor generals, nor great men of affairs, but simple, plain men and women can do something to build a better, peaceful world. The future hope of peace lies with such personal service. Mahatma Gandhi, if I can say his name correctly, has two quotes. Honest differences are often a healthy sign of progress. It's honest differences, right? He also says, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. And Pema Chodra, she's a Buddhist monk, says, compassionate action involves working with ourselves as much as working with others. That's a true statement. Alice Walker says, the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. And the Buckminster Fuller says, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And of course, we have to put in Albert Einstein, the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them doing without doing anything. And I would like to invite Patricia S. to give us our principle in action.
Good morning. Thanks, Becky. Principles in action for spiritual activism. Humanity Healings presents 12 keys to spiritual activism. I'd like to share a few of them with you for your consideration. All spiritual action must be compassionate. All compassion must be applied with wisdom. It is important to choose your causes carefully and act on them. Learn to act instead of react. Compassionate activism flows from the understanding of the connection between all living beings. Learn to listen to your heart and know that compassionate spiritual activism involves working with ourselves as with working with others. Thank you for considering these principles in action.
People get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. So people get ready for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open the doors and board them. There's hope for all among those who love the most. There ain't no room for the hopeless sinner who would hurt just to save his own. Have pity on those whose chances grow thinner, though there's no hiding place against the kingdom's throne. So people get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just to get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. I say you don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord.
Join me now in our quiet time. This is our time that we nurture ourselves. And nurturing ourselves gives us the strength and stamina to nurture others. Relax where you are. Be aware of your surroundings. Calm your surroundings. Focus on within. Breathe in a cleansing, calming breath. Breathe out love and peace, joy and harmony. Feel your inner child rustling and exciting about the upcoming season, and calm that child. Excitement is wonderful, but focus on the calmness. Settle down. Quiet your words and listen. Calm your thoughts and be. Soften your heart and be open. Still your soul and receive. Connect with the music. Listen and receive. Nudge yourself back to the here and now. Breathe in a cleansing breath. Breathe out love, peace, and calmness. Breathe in another cleansing breath. Feel that breath energizing you. invigorating and awakening you, and the love and the spirit that dwell within. Share that love, share that energy, share that spirit with your awakening self and with all around you. You are the heart. You are the hands. You are the spirit and the voice of spirit on earth. All you are and all you do is a blessing to the world, and we are grateful and thankful to receive this blessing. Breathe in another invigorating, enlightening, awakening breath. Feel the energy just swelling around you. Do you feel it? Are you energized? Good. Open your eyes. Be aware of your surroundings. Be happy of your surroundings. Be blessed. Be joyful. You are love, and you are loved. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you, Patricia and Jody. That was beautiful. Now I got to be awake and invigorated. Let's pray. Thank you, higher power, for this time together, for the words, for the insight, for the music, for the connection, for all that we receive and all that we give here. We thank you. Amen. I'm glad to be here. As earlier I said, my name is Beci R, and today I am going to be talking to you about spiritual activism. Spiritual activism has a lot of different definitions, and generally it's defined as an intentional desire to create positive change on a social or political issue, working from a grounded, centered, and balanced place. Now, there's a lot of talk right now. It's kind of a buzzword, activism, but then you see protests, and that's not what this is talking about. This is talking about being peaceful and non-reactive. So it's an active thing, not a reactive thing, right? It's meaning that you're not telling the other person's side is wrong, or or you're not being defensive. You're not being enraged or angry by what's going on, but you have a deep desire to connect and improve something. Now, this is really interesting because I had this talk written. It's been a couple weeks now, and I'm in the ministerial program, trying to become on the ministerial path. I'm a student. When I grow up, I'm going to be like Linda. But I'm in this one class, and it's really interesting because I've been watching these videos by Peter Steinecke, and he was a Lutheran minister, and he did a lot of interventions on churches trying to help them. And he has this key information, and it's kind of a global thing about their mission. But as I'm sitting here thinking, it really applies to activism. Because what he's trying to say in all of this is if you keep doing the same things, you're going to keep getting the same results. So if something, for instance, he goes to these big churches, and these big churches are, people are stop coming, and they go do other things instead. Well, they're on this roll to get there. Well, but they're still doing the same thing. They're not changing what they do in order to get a different reaction. So this is kind of what activism sounds like to me. So the Satyan Leading and Spirit program says there are key learnings, so like a framework for activism, okay? And it's transforming anger, fear, and despair into compassion, love, and purpose. It's finding a way to change that defensiveness into openness, right? And this is a vital challenge for today's social change movement. It's not about denying anger. It's not about saying you can't be angry. It's about what you do with it. It's the shift from fighting against evil to working for love. It's that, I can't even remember, it was a counseling thing years ago. Somebody told me, are you running from something or towards something? It's all in the mindset, right? So a positive future cannot emerge from the mind of anger and despair. The Dalai Lama said that. In order to have a positive future, it can't come from that anger and despair. So another part of the key framework is non-attachment to the outcome. And this is hard because we want it to go our way. But how do we know what our way is? And in some cases, activism starts, like what MLK in the 60s. He started this big chain of things going on that are still going on that I hadn't even no idea because I was just a child in the 60s until I took a class on the 1960s and thought, wow, all that was happening while I was a kid and I didn't know. But this activism movement, and here we are still working towards that change. So he only planted seeds. He didn't get to live long enough to see what the changes would be and what the future changes will be. So it's difficult to practice this, but if we hold a clear intention and we let go of the outcome, we recognize that there is a larger wisdom operating here, right? Gandhi says the victory is in the doing, not the results. So if we remain flexible in the face of the changing circumstances, right? So we think we're headed down a path, and then there might be a turn that we have to go to, and then that might be it. And then COVID happens, and then look, now we're shifting again, right? So this activism, spiritual activism, is about staying in that connection. Another key part of the framework is your integrity, and it is your protection. It is our protection to have integrity. One of the key principles for me here is if I never tell a lie, if I'm always in my integrity, I don't have to remember anything because I'll always have the same thing to say the next time, right? So being in your integrity is if your work has integrity, this will tend to protect you from the negative energy and the circumstances, right? So you can often sidestep the negative energy from others by becoming transparent. This is me, this is who I am, and that doesn't land on me, right? They call it a spiritual Aikido. My husband practices Aikido, and it's about moving the energy past you and not holding on to it, right? Another key for the framework is you don't demonize your adversaries. We don't have to call names. We don't have to say they're this race or they're that kind of a person or we don't have to make demons out of them in order to practice spiritual activism. It makes them more defensive and less receptive if we demonize them, if we call them names, if we come from that defensiveness. People respond to arrogance with their own arrogance, and I've seen this time and time again. Some people just respond to arrogance in general, but the more arrogant I would become, the more they would become. So be a perpetual learner and constantly challenge ourselves on our views. Listen to other people. I saw another video the other day, which was really interesting. They took people that were on opposing sides of issues. And one was a feminist and one was a hardcore, all what the feminists do, and talking about all the things that they did. And they videotaped these people. And then they put them in this room together all day, doing things, but they didn't know anything about each other. They didn't know what they had said on the videotape. They had been told that they were just teamed with somebody that thought like they did. So they sat down and started doing all these things and working all these things out, and went through the whole day building things and enjoying each other's company and learning about each other. And then at the end, they got to see the initial videotape that their stand on a particular issue. Whereas the man saw the woman's talk about feminists, and then the woman saw the man's talk about feminists. And they looked at each other like, "You really believe that?" And because they had taken the time to get to know each other, they realized that they could soften their view. They didn't have to put those feet down and stand in that, right? So demonizing them didn't help. Let's make them human. We're all unique, and we find and fulfill our true callings, right? It's better to tread your own path, however humbly, than that of another, however successfully. So find what's yours to do. And this is hard because there's a lot out there to be an activist about. I mean, there's a lot going on right now. This is 2020, guys. We're going to remember this for a long time. This is going down in the history books right now, just in case you're wondering. They're writing the history of now for our future. So there's a lot to be working with. So pick your path, right? Love your enemy, or at least have compassion for them. This is a big lesson. This is one I learned this year, really close to home, because some stuff came out from my family of origin, and I wouldn't say confronted, but I was asked what was going on, and I was transparent and honest, and I shared some things that had never been said out loud before, and they were like, "Well, don't you hate this person?" And I'm like, "No, I don't hate them. Why would I hate them? They did the best that they could with what they had. And I only hope that they heal. I hope that they find love. And I hope that this person in particular heals their life. Because I know what it's like to come up from that hole. I know what that's like. And there's no reason to be hard on the issues. I mean, there's no reason to be hard on the people. The issue is a different thing. Being an activist for the issue is different than being hard on the person. So your works in this world is not for you, right? In doing the service work, you are working for others. We are working. The full harvest of our work, like I said earlier, may not even take place in our lifetime. And my very first sponsor said, "I'm just planting seeds. I'm just planting seeds, you know?" And some of them grew faster than others, just like a garden, right? So let your fulfillment come in gratitude for being called to do the work, and from doing it with as much compassion, authenticity, fortitude, and forgiveness that we can muster. Forgiveness is a big key. So selfless service is a myth, and I love this one as one of the frameworks, because I'm thinking when I was out for 5 years, I was a house leader for Habitat for Humanity. We built houses. And I thought, I'm doing this for them. And I learned so much when I was doing that. Leading a team of people. I was leading the team that led the volunteers. And there's a lot going on in those steps. Yes, I had some skills that maybe some people didn't have. But you learn a lot by doing this. And shielding ourselves from heartbreak also prevents our transformation. If we want to do the work, but we don't want to feel it, we're not really getting the whole part of what's going on. And Gandhi says he understood the principles that a broken heart becomes an open heart, and a genuine transformation can begin. The next key principle is what you attend to, you become. The more we know this with New Thought, and I've learned this, I've been in this for a while, and with 12 steps, everything that we've learned is the more we concentrate on something, the more we become that what. The more time we spend on it, the more we transform it. It can be negative or it can be positive. For me, I choose for it to be positive. Not everybody makes that choice. But it is whatever you spend your focus on, that's where you will grow to become that. So you reap what you sow, you choose your actions carefully, and we constantly engage in battles. If we constantly engage in battles, we will become a battlefield. That's just how it is. So if you constantly give love, then we'll be love. Another one of the key frameworks is to rely on faith and let go of having to figure it all out. Because it's not all ours. You know, there's a divine force working here. There's something bigger than ourselves, and we're only a part of this. We're not all of it. One of the key steps for this, they say, is the first step is wisdom is silence. So many people have a hard time sitting in silence. And I did too, for years. I had a hard time with silence, and I would, like, even going into a meeting, if it was quiet for too long, I had to speak out. Even if I had already spoke out, it was uncomfortable. But if we can center ourselves in that silence, we start to hear different things, and we'll listen in a different way. And we become, the way that we begin to listen, we can hear at a whole nother level. Another key framework is that love creates the form, not the other way around. Don't get trapped by pessimism concerned about human nature that is not balanced by optimism concerned by divine nature, or you'll overlook the cure of grace. It's not one way or another. That was Martin Luther King. It's not one way or another. Let your heart loves infuse your work, and you can't fail. It's just, once you're infused with it, through your dreams, though your dreams may manifest in ways different from what you imagine. But there are keys to spiritual activism, okay? And the first one is that it must be based on compassion. That's the same thing that Patricia was talking about in the meditation. Spiritual activism is about compassion. Compassion for yourself, compassion for the system, and compassion for the change and the people involved in it. Because it's a wholeness, it's a holistic approach to this, right? Mother Teresa said, in a response to a question about why she didn't attend anti-war rallies, she said, when you have a pro-peace rally, I'll be there. It wasn't anti-something, it was pro-something else, okay? Another one is compassion flows from the understanding of connection between all the living things. That's what I was talking about. We're all a part of the greater, okay? So it's us, it's when it becomes us or we instead of them and you know what I mean? When it becomes we. There was a conversation I had with my dad early this year, and he kept saying, they, and he was pointing out, and then I kept saying, it's we, Dad, it's we. You know, sometimes people can get stuck in their orneriness, but it is we. When we become a part of the system, we can change it. Compassion must be applied with wisdom. That's what Patricia was talking about. Just compassion itself is compassion, it's empathy, it's wonderful, but the wise compassion, there are more causes that exist than individuals can fix. So do what we can, right? That's true wisdom to know how to alter one's mind when the occasion demands it. Another one is apply synergy and teamwork, right? I know my strengths. Someone else might find another strength. The other person has a strength. Let's use all of our strengths in the synergy. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Spiritual activism is a pursuit of service for all, the good of all. not for the advancement or benefit of individuals or selected communities. The mindset behind your spiritual action must be noble, holistic, universal, and nonpartisan. Be mindful that our ego and our self-service have no place in spiritual activism. Another one is pursue integrity. This is back to it, being transparent, honesty and dignity, and conduct in our own actions. Embrace mindfulness in the application of your activities and be aware of how your activities may be perceived by others, right? Integrity is doing the right thing even if you know nobody's watching. That's hard to do sometimes. You know, nobody's watching. Who saw me do it? Well, I did. And that's something we practice in the 12 steps. I know I did it. So I have to accept responsibility for it. That's when I live in integrity. Another one is do not defame the people that doubt you, right? That's, again, the calling the names, the making them the demons, the making them the bad. Right? So aspire to always be a peacemaker. That's how spiritual activism works. Raising another one up, you as well, helping another one becomes a form of self-love as well as expressing the outward love. This becomes an upward spiral cycle, increasing awareness, connection, compassion, involvement, capacity. You are the lead. When we're the leaders and they see us being compassionate and having integrity, they will follow suit. I've seen it happen. And learn to listen with your heart and not your mind. So many of us want to listen with, because we're bombarded with noise and we want to listen to what's going on up here. And if we can bring it down into our heart, was it Reverend Alice always used to say, it's only a foot from the head to the heart. And sometimes it's the hardest 12 inches that people travel. Learn to act with faith and cultivate a loving perception when facing collective problems. Search out valuable and sustainable solutions. It's not just about giving the person the fish, right? It's about teaching people to fish. It's about finding a way that the system works in the steps so that it's sustainable as well. Because if we just pass out money checks and say, here, your life will be better if you have money and you can go live here, the mindset hasn't changed. The reality hasn't changed. That's how come they say lottery winners that come into all that money just lose it all within years, and then they're battling bankruptcies because their mindset didn't change, just the situation around it. The goal of spiritual activism is to raise another up, not make them dependent. One of my teachers way back when said, foster independence. I love that, and I think about it all the time. We want to foster independence, especially since I'm raising grandkids. It's important that they're not dependent on me. That's why they all know how to cook, and they all know how to do their own laundry, and they all know how to clean the house, because they need that independence. They will someday use those tools. And don't judge ourselves simply by the results of our actions. If we've been trying and trying and trying to get things done and think we're failing because we're not getting anywhere, we're judging ourselves. We really need to have some self-compassion. The ultimate goal is to unconditionally raise the understanding and the support of humanity with no exceptions. There's a real fulfillment in just being called to serve humanitarian and spiritual causes. Sometimes it's just not, it's not about getting to the end. It's about the movement, the action. That's why they call it activism. And the last one they said on this one is the meta, in being in the motivation of your actions. Now the meta, if you don't know, is the practice of loving kindness, and that's for everybody. And yourself and everybody. Being in loving kindness. Start from a position of pure and altruistic love. So how can you help in the community? What are ways? You got a busy life. Everybody's got a busy life. And, I've got more packed into my day than a lot of people, but I still want to make a difference in the world. Like I said, raising 5 grandkids, and you start thinking about all these things and what kind of world we're leaving them, then I need to take spiritual activism a step further. So people see on the news activism as protests. That they see all the hurt that, of course, the media is an assistance in that. And that's a whole nother talk. But how can we be spiritual activists in maybe a simpler way? We can educate ourselves and others. And find out what the policy is, what's going on out in the community, and not hide in a shell, right? We can advocate for legislation. We can run for office. I don't know that that's something that I want to do, but somebody might want to run for office if they want to make a change. That office could be at the school level, at the district level, state, government, you name it, right? We can peacefully protest. We can also create a public awareness campaign using social media. I love the social media thing. So we can do a survey about the issues and share the results. We all have our own social media things. What if we did a survey? What if we asked our friends, what do you think that's going on, and where do you think that we could step in? How can we change our personal mission, right? Or we can raise money for some kind of activism campaign that's going on. Maybe it needs a little bit more publicity. Maybe it needs some ads going on. Maybe it needs a billboard. We could help raise some money for that. We could write a letter, make a phone call, send an email to the legislature. I don't know how many times I've sent emails to congressmen or congresswomen and said, hey, wait, what are you looking at here? Bombard them with emails, because for every letter they get, they're figuring we're representing at least 100 people. So if they're getting that letter, they know 100 people are not happy about that. So we can engage in community service. You want your community to look better? Maybe pick up the trash. That's spiritual activism, right? We can get the press involved. You can write to the local press. I've done it. Send them little things, to print immediately. They'll do that, or get a crew out there. If it's something really you want to talk about, call them up and say, hey, we've got something going on down here. Maybe they'll have time to come out. Maybe they'll run it. Maybe they won't. We'll see. That's the media. But you can call them. We can call them, right? Or another big one right now is we can start a blog or a virtual community, a meetup group, something that says we're here, we're listening, and we want to make a difference in the world, right? So the call to be a spiritual activist is a deeply personal one. With all of this information, there are only 2 questions I have left, right? I always have to ask you questions. What cause calls you to become a peaceful spiritual activist? What call is calling you? Right now, or was calling you? What is calling you? And in what way will you help this cause in your community? What's calling you, and how will you answer? Let's pray. Higher power, we thank you for this time. We thank you for this message, for this call to spiritual activism, for ways that we can go out into the community and make a difference, for a system that needs an upgrade, a moving forward, a place where equality is an easy word to say, a place where love and kindness are just a given in the community, and a place where everybody feels safe to be who they are and connected to other people that love them either way, with whatever love they need to be. We thank you for this time. Thank you, and so it is.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Judy, Patricia, Bob, Phil, everybody that comes together to bring a place of faith from our place to yours. Speaking of activism, one of the things that we don't talk an awful lot about is volunteer opportunities in your community. We do talk about the Salvation Army and the blood bank and the information on those will come up on your screen. If you're not sure where your passion is or who needs your help or what you could possibly do, there's another website available called volunteermatch.com. I think there's a couple more out there, but that's the one that I use. And you pull up the website and it says, do you want to volunteer? And you say, oh no. And they say, well, tell us about yourself. And you fill out the questionnaire. Do you have a car? Do you need to volunteer from home? Do you have a phone? And they will bring volunteer opportunities to you. I know one of the best ways to find out what we're passionate about is to volunteer, try something, and see what comes up. Donations are accepted here at A Place of Faith. Please send checks and support to us at 311 Highland Avenue, El Cajon, California 92020. Just in the memo on the check, let them know it's in support of A Place of Faith. You can donate through Unity's website, www.unityofelcajon.org, or you can donate using a credit card by calling the office here at the Unity Church, 619-579-9586, and give them your numbers. Everything is completely safe. Remember to let them know you are contributing and supporting A Place of Faith. We would love to bring our message to you when it's safe to do so. We invite you to share our videos, our video messages with your population if you're in a sober living, a treatment facility, even higher levels of care. We can reach you via YouTube. And when it's safe to do so, we would love to come and spread the word and help your population to grow and develop. And now we are going to enjoy the song Love Is My Decision with our own Jody Bagley. Thank you, Jody.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. And love is my decision. And no one else can tell me to start. Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. And love is my decision. And no one else can make me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. It's my decision right here and now. My decision right here and now.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you for joining us today. Please, let us know what you feel, what you think, how you enjoyed our presentation. Please join me in prayer. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Be blessed.
Here at A Place of Faith, we want you to know that you're not alone. We know how challenging these times are. We want you to know we're all in this together, doing the best that we can where we are with what we have. Reaching out and asking for assistance isn't always easy. It takes courage and strength. We understand this struggle as well. Below you will find a list of local resources that are here to assist those in need. If you have an emergency, please dial 911. Your health in mind, body, and spirit are very important to us. Blessings.